Okay. Yeah, let's go. I'm going to stop sharing. And if you may, let's talk about our grant project we've got going on whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to see everybody. I'm glad to, we got lots of people here today. That's good. So Chelsea and Nanette and I had talked about a couple of different things. And some of the other councils, if you've joined those, we've done some community service projects. We look for local foundations. So the Rotary program, the Rotary Martinsburg has a grant. So I have submitted a grant to help with the duffel bag project. So and a lot of you are familiar with our duffel bags. They are full size. I'll see if I can find a picture and put one of them in, if it'll let me in the chat here. But they are full size duffel bags. They are sewn by Prison Industries. So they are sewn by inmates and we buy them from them. And then we fill it full of things that they're going to need when they first get out. If you get out on a Friday and it's a holiday weekend, you may not see anyone until Tuesday. So you were virtually homeless, for that weekend. We try to fill these duffel bags full of socks, t-shirts, underwear, some Mylar blankets, toothbrush, toothpaste. I don't believe in doing for convenience size little travel bottles. When at Dollar Tree, I can get a full size for $1.25, and then put them all in a Ziploc baggie, and then they hopefully don't spill out. And then whatever place they're going to next, they'll have full size hygiene products to use for a while. So we do all kinds of different hygiene products and all of those things. So the bags cost about $9 a piece. And then as much money as we can get from the grant, that's what we use. And I'll work with Chelsea because she knows if there are places that can donate things. Sometimes we can get like the large healthcare providers or MCOs can provide toothbrushes and toothpaste and stuff like that. So we just try and work with different organizations to fill those duffel bags. And so I wrote the Rotary grant for that. And I think, when is it, Chelsea? Is it like March or something that
They said March. I've spoken to them already and they said that they would be interested in actually hosting like a packing party. So hopefully that's something that we can kind of get together once maybe we get the approval.
Yeah.
If it's through, of course. We wouldn't be applying at multiple places, right? Like we kind of only apply at one.
Right. So I'm kind of dropping some pictures like Martinsburg, or not Martinsburg, Parkersburg, the other burgs, had we did a Sisters Health grant. And so they had a packing party, and I just lost my chat. So there's some pictures from those. We just line everybody up. Everybody takes a spot, pass the bag down, put your item in there, and it doesn't take very long to get all those done. So depending on how much money we get, Sherry, will depend on how many bags we can pack. I wrote it to be able to fill, I think, 70 to 75. So then what we also ask is, all of the NCOs, Seth, Jen, anybody else that has information, pamphlets or information like that, we stuff those inside of those duffel bags so that they're local to the region or across the state, so that they have, resource information too. So that's the Rotary grant. So we have applied for that, and we'll see if we get that. There is another one.
I was wondering about the Eastern West Virginia Community Foundation.
Yeah, so that was my next thing. I couldn't remember what it was called. So
yep. They have to do it by the 7th. The grants stop. Right. They stop on the 7th.
Right. So,
but when I talked to them, they said they have a lot of money
Yeah.
And they want to be able to help.
That's what I was going to talk about is, what do we want to write that one for? What is something else in the community do we want to try and do? I don't know. Other things that I've written for are DUI classes, IDs, things like that. So what are ideas?
So what about things to put, in the duffel bags,
Well,
like here we're in need of we have a lot of people come through here and needing tents, um, you know, um, socks, coats, different things like that. But a lot of our people come through and are needing tents. I don't know if we could do tents and sleeping bags. I mean, I don't know if that would be a possibility.
I mean, we could, someone would just have to be the keeper of where those are. And then, just like the duffel bags, everything has to be tracked. So everyone that receives them has to complete an intake form so that one of our navigators can reach out to them. So that's definitely something too. Anybody like that idea? Have other suggestions? Nothing?
Well, as far as the bags go, that might be just kind of a starter, and maybe we can see how that works and make partnerships that way and kind of bump heads with some of the local organizations to see what else we can find. But did someone have a question that we didn't answer? I'm just checking the chat here. Okay, so when would you need the items for the bag?
It depends on if we actually receive the grant. And then we'll just figure out a day, because, being awarded it, then actually receiving the money, we may not actually receive it until April or May. So after that, then Chelsea can coordinate with Rotary and everyone else to do a packing party, and then, have a central location for me to have all that stuff shipped. So in the Rotary grant, I had asked for enough money to be able to completely fill with all of those, with the shampoos and beauty products and socks, t-shirt, underwear, all of that stuff.
So I know I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I just know with Pitt, I know that we got an amazing donation from Procter and Gamble, but it's just sent over to Moorfield to a location over there, and we have to just go over there and pick it up.
Okay.
They were the partners with it. So,
yeah,
I cannot begin to tell you how much P&G definitely, it was amazing, the donations that Procter and Gamble gave.
Yeah, which I had replied to your email when you sent that to me, that it has to be used in their stipulations. It has to be used within a certain amount of time. So that was one of the things I was concerned about is, and then there was something else, and I can't remember what it was now, but there were a couple of stipulations that made me a little concerned. But Sherry, I think.
So, I can order toothbrushes.
Okay.
For you. If I go ahead and order like 200, then obviously that should be enough to cover however many bags you would do, but then you'd also have some, to hand out as you need to. Once those came in, who should I hand those off to in the Eastern Panhandle?
Kelsey, I think that would be you. Yeah.
Sherry, I had the same thought. Thank you for asking that. I was like, who do I give these things to? Who did you say it was?
Chelsea, are you there?
She shares that she's here, so maybe she had somebody step in or something. So.
Yeah, I mean, Wendy and I could probably coordinate, getting some stuff over there. If we just, we know who to take it to and who to reach out to when we're ready to get it over there.
Yep.
We can get you some some stuff that you can use for the bags or for just, everyday
Right.
clients.
Okay. Well, we'll wait for Chelsea to come back and Alyssa. Oh,
So
there-
sorry, I was trying to get in touch with our speaker today. I don't see her in our chat. So I was just trying to reach out to her. What was your question?
Would you be the person, Sherry and Wendy can get toothbrushes and stuff. So would they just have it sent to you? Do you have a place to store all that stuff or?
Yeah, I can definitely for that. And if we get the go ahead and we get the approval, yeah, I can start taking whatever it is that we get. Do you have that? Excellent. Thank you for that information. This might be something and that's what I talked to Mary, which is our guest speaker today. We talked to her, and that was one of the things that she said, that they do have some bags. And I was maybe just thinking that this could be given to like the day report centers, because they have 24 hours to report. Just they could be used for we could drop them off at the jail. Just the different places that would be needing those resources in the meantime, like if it's a weekend or a holiday where these organizations aren't open, they would at least have something when they walk out the door. From my understanding with Mary,
We lost her. Hopefully she'll pop back in. Alyssa, you've had your hand raised for a while, sorry.
That's okay. I'm still getting the layout. This is my first meeting.
Okay.
But I just see all housing because I'm a fair housing specialist and I can help those with a criminal background through the housing process as they're applying for rentals and trying to understand what rights they have and what they should do if they're denied.
Okay.
So anybody can always send clients to me. But what I was going to jump in with the grants is there are a lot of organizations that, help in the housing. So I'm wondering if the grant money, just an idea, is for like the bigger items that clients don't get to have. That's really a need. Like it's great that they could move in somewhere, but then they may not have anything to go in there.
Right.
So it's just the only idea I had.
And that's something I've done with Palatine of Huntington is, of course, it's a lot larger, it's a greater sum of money, but dishes, towels, pots and pans, cleaning supplies, brooms, stuff like that. So that's something else that we might want to consider. But and then Nanette said it's due in a couple of days, so Chelsea and I and Nanette can talk later today and try something out before we want.
Sorry, we had some technical difficulties with Mary's on. Appreciate your guys, but I thought about this actually yesterday. My thought was there are a lot of resources to our everyday items, but maybe there's not a lot of resources to the small things that we take for granted, like dish towels or utensils or things like that. If people are going to a home, sheets and blankets, and so yeah, we could definitely, maybe that could be a different part, and we can explore those options. But
And I'm already doing it with Palatine of Huntington, so I can just adjust the budget to however we would need it for this area.
Mary, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I am so grateful for you being here. This is Mary Knotts. She is a counselor at ERJ, and she just
Actually, I'm the associate superintendent of programs.
So we just want to know a little bit about what you do, and maybe talk about what happens when someone is maybe getting released and what resources that they're offered, so we have a little bit of insight of what they have walking out.
Okay. Usually when an inmate is getting discharged or paroled and stuff there, some of the main things that we try to make sure is that they, if they need SSI, that has been taken care of before they leave. DMV, if they need an ID or whatever, get that set up to where they have an appointment at the DMV to get that done. As far as resources and stuff goes, we put a lot of the pamphlets that you guys send us on the tablets. The more information we get, the more we can put on those tablets. And I also have a pamphlet thing out in the lobby to where those pamphlets can also go out there. If family members comes to visit them, they can also get those pamphlets as far as resources goes as well. If they need bus ticket, we supply them with a bus ticket. What is it? The EPTA or ETPA. If they don't have a home plan, that's our biggest thing is getting them a home plan, a place to go. If they're looking to get into a rehab or something of that sort. Home plans are a big issue with us, especially if they're not wanting to go back into the same environment that they came from. So I was really, really happy to hear from Sabrina yesterday. Housing that they're doing.
I'm here, Mary. I'm here. Mary, we spoke yesterday, and the first question Mary asked is, what are we doing to house, or what can we do to assist housing a very underserved population of individuals who are on the sex registry? Despite your own moral opinion, we still have an obligation to provide these people services. And as everyone knows, if you're dealing with homeless individuals, a large population of them are homeless because they simply can't find housing. So at the Recovery Village, because we do want to focus on family reunification, but at the same time, we also want to be able to serve this population. I'm reaching out to a couple of people of the parole and probation. And Mary, I actually got connected with a prosecuting attorney this morning. So I've emailed him, and I spoke to Doug Webb and Angel Akers. So I think between all of them, I'll be able to have something solid within the next week or so, seeing if we're going to be able to serve this population at the village. That's all. I'll mute myself now.
That would be awesome, because those are some of the hardest inmates that we have. That is really hard to get housing for. But what I was really, really impressed with was the fact that you're building a village to where these inmates, when they're released, do not have to go back into the same environment that they came from, which gives them a better chance of rehabilitation without the recidivism. I think that's going to help a whole lot better than us just putting them back out into their family homes and not being under that pressure. Peer pressure, family pressure, whole dynamics. Because I know that one of the questions was about how we can lower the recidivism, and part of that is not putting the offenders back into that same environment. Another issue that I really wanted to talk about is, and I caught a little bit of it, the clothing issue. We do have some donations that some people have given us, organizations have given us as far as summer clothing, but we have not had anything as far as winter clothing. Right now is our biggest thing. We do not have the winter clothing to provide for them. So if an offender getting released who came in during the summer but's getting released in the middle of the winter does not have the appropriate clothing to go out in. A lot we try to go to the mission and get some of that and see if we can get them that winter clothing and stuff there. Some churches will help out with that. along there, but that can take time, and especially if we just get something like at the last minute, all of a sudden we get a court order release, and we're like, oh, okay, what are we going to do with them along there? And that happens. The courts may decide, okay, release them, or doing a reconsideration. We need them released today. So I'm kind of looking for some resources from the community and stuff there to actually help them once they get there. The recovery point's been really great with helping with some of the stuff and whatnot, and coming in and helping with some of the release stuff that the inmates need before they get released. Also, Danica, I see she's on there. If there's something that a home plan we cannot find, she does try to help reach out and help us with her resources she has. So it can be challenging. It can be challenging, but our ultimate goal is not just to send them back out and say, okay, there you go, make it on your own. We want to be able to send them somewhere where they can actually get the resources and the help that they need to keep them from coming back into the system.
Mary, is there something in particular, is there something that you're seeing a lot of with folks that are coming back? What exactly what would you say like the number one struggle would be for the folks that are coming back? Like, is there a reason why, or what would that be? And
the reasons why a lot of these come back is, we call them it's like a rotating door, is that when they're leaving, we're sending them right back into the same environment that they came from. They're not going to stand a chance if they're thrown right back into that same environment. Family pressure is just as bad as peer pressure along there. If you've ever been in a family where everybody drinks or everybody does drugs or whatever, and you're trying to step away from that pressure is just too much for them. I mean, it's nothing for them to say, oh, well, now you're too good for us, you can't drink with us anymore. You know what I'm saying? That puts too much pressure on that person who actually wants to change, but they don't have anywhere else to go but back to that environment, because that's the only home plan that they have or whatever. It doesn't mean that, the home plans are approved basically on some of the aspects of it is that no one's a felony offender or whatever. They're not going back in to an environment where somebody else is a felony offender as well. But that doesn't mean that we're not putting them back in to the environment where the drugs and alcohol started to begin with. So that's a big issue there. I mean, when we interview the inmates and do their LSCMIs and stuff there, some of the questions that we ask them is there anybody in your family who's addicted to drugs or whatever, or are you, so, and they're answering yes to these questions and stuff there. So basically we're throwing them right back in to the environment that we're trying to keep them out of, because they have no other alternative. We can give them the resources for the meetings, alcohol treatment, the resources for them to get, drug treatment or whatever, but it's not going to help them if they're still in that same environment.
I appreciate that. And I think, we all kind of struggle with that reality, is that there's, although, we can point fingers and we can try to put blame on certain things or what's happening. The matter of the fact is, if they have to go somewhere, and where they're going is going to either set them up for failure or set them up for success. And so that point of the transitional period back into society is so crucial and important, because they are vulnerable, and that point of contact of where they're going and what they're surrounded by is super important. Do you find that folks that maybe have to report to day report or probation, do you think that keeps them kind of in line for the most part, or is there a relationship that you, or opinion maybe that you have with that relationship with day report?
In all honesty, that depends on the individual themselves. If someone is really willing to make a change and a change in their lifestyle and their environment and stuff there, they will report and do what they're supposed to do. But I still feel that if they're being put back into that same environment, sooner or later, it's going to catch up with them. Along there is the community, when we put them back into the community and stuff there, and I think it's great that there's all these great resources out there now to help the inmates once that they go back out into society, because I feel that that's going to be their biggest chance of changing if they're willing to do it. But they have to be willing to do it themselves first, because we offer them the programs while they're incarcerated. We have the goals program, we have Sabista and RSAT and things that we can offer them to help them while they're in, so give them that stepping stone for when they get out to continue with. But if they don't take the initiative, a lot of them will just finish the program just because they have to get paroled. Some of them will take it serious. The way I look at it, if we can get 1-2 people that actually take it serious and really want to change, they'll take the steps that they need to once they get out. But it's getting that mind frame set into them before they get out, that okay, there is resources out there for you. You just got to take the step and do it. The rehabs, I see a lot. The rehabs kind of bother me in a way along there, because this is the deal with the rehab. We've got inmates, when they come in, if they come in with an addiction, they're automatically put on Suboxone for the MAP program through the medical. Okay, so basically we're giving them drugs while they're incarcerated, which don't make sense to me, but that is not under me, that's under medical. But and then when they get out, they get a prescription and stuff to where they can continue and go, and they're supposed to get in with the rehabs and stuff there to continue that program, or get on something that helps them while they're on the outside. I mean, we give them the tools. We give them the tools, and what they do with it is up to them individually as a person. I mean, we can say, okay, you're screwing your life up or whatever, and this is what's going to happen on down the road. But they're not going to see that until they actually experience it. You see what I'm saying? They're figuring, okay, well, it ain't hurt me yet, But what happens when they get the wrong drug mixed with something else along there? Because with the fentanyl and some of the other drugs that are mixed in with even marijuana or some of the lighter drugs that they may use, it only takes one bad batch to either put them in the hospital, mentally destroy their brain for life, or it kills them. So to me, it's a Russian roulette. You're taking a chance every time along there. And I understand why what they're trying to do with the drug program is because it's to keep them from going out and doing the same amount of drugs that they did before they came in, so that it doesn't throw their bodies into shock. So the Suboxone that they give them is not the same strength, basically what they would get on the streets. It is a controlled prescription that is supposed to help them basically stabilize them, so that if they do go out and they go and decide to do the same amount of drugs they did before they came in, it's not going to put their body into shock and cause a death or put them in the hospital or something to that extreme. So in a way that kind of does help, because I think that they seen a lot of that before they started that program, that we would have people in here who have been here maybe set for 2 years or in the prisons for years, and then they go out and try to do the same amount that they did before they were incarcerated. It either killed them or put them in the hospital or something. So you're throwing your body into shock, so to speak. So, and the system can't handle it.
Mary, do you have like navigators that come sometimes into the jail and help with the transitional period at all?
Recovery Point, I want to say, has come in and help. We did have some others coming in that would help. East Ridge, there's some workers there that we can get in touch with East Ridge that will come in and help with some of that transition as well along there, especially if they need, with how I want to say, especially if we feel that they need counseling on the outside, not only just for the drug addiction, but what the drugs have done to them as far as their mental capacity, because it has affected their I want to say it's affected their way of thinking, or basically has done damage to their brain, and they don't function the way they would have had they not been on the drugs to begin with. So as far as counseling and stuff, therapy and stuff there, East Ridge has been really great with that.
I was just going to let you know. So East Ridges has on March 1st, we're hoping to start up our new program where we'll be able to help individuals that day. So if you have someone getting out that you feel that needs to get into therapy or needs medication continued, I can send you my email and my contact information so we can get them in and get them started as soon as they get out, so they don't go without their medications.
That would be great. Yeah, send me your email and stuff there, and I can pass it on, because I'll pass it on to our unit manager.
Okay.
And that way they have the information too, because they deal more the counselors and the unit manager deals more one-on-one with them. And any resource that I can give them is a step up.
Are there any resources, let's say 6 months out before they get out? And I understand that there are some where they come back to court and they're released immediately, and I understand that. But for the folks that maybe they know there's a couple months left and they're getting out, are there resources to kind of help them transition, maybe building a resume, or maybe like mock interviews, figuring out like what does the home plan look like for folks that don't know what home plans are?
What home plans are? Home plans are given. We have to do a home plan on inmates who are coming up for parole, or who have a probation consecutive sentence, or is on a mandatory supervised release from their sentence. They have to have an approved home plan. We submit the home plan. the parole officer then goes and investigates the housing that they're going to see, to make sure that it is suitable, and that there's certain things that are allowed in the home, like guns. They can't have any guns or anything. Make sure there's no drugs or alcohol or anything in the home and stuff there. So once they approve that home plan, then the parole board, once they see the parole board can release them on parole, and they can be released to that home plan.
Are there any?
Here, I'm
Hello?
Margaret from the Martinsburg Initiative, and we've been wanting to do parenting classes inside the jail system. And we teach a evidence-based curriculum called Nurturing Parenting. And we would love to connect with you to do that and to see if that would be possible for inmates who are.
This is what I'm going to tell you along there, and I would love to see that. That would be fun. But a lot of our stuff has to go through central office when someone wants to come in and do a program that is not within the DCR. My best bet for you is to get a hold of Missy Adams, who is over inmate services at central office, and talk with her to see if that is if that's an option. If they give it an approval, I have no problems with you coming in and doing the parenting courses.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That would be huge, Margaret. I think that would be awesome. A lot of times we've burned bridges, or I've done this myself, but also others. We've burned bridges in active addiction and through incarceration. And so building that parenting relationship before they get out can be essential to the relationship when they, when they actually do get out. I think that's amazing. So let us know what happens with Missy Adams, please. Mary, I want to really thank you so much for joining us and answering our questions. So just to circle back to my last question, do you find yourself, or do you find the jail, like, is there any curriculum, for example, maybe they go through like like an educational curriculum of some sort, just kind of re-entering that society?
Actually, we do.
Okay.
Like I said, we do have the goals units, which is a court ordered, which if you are not familiar with that, and it is a substance abuse treatment unit, which is a 6 to 9 month course, and they have to stay on that unit. Like I said, it is court mandated. The judge, once it is court mandated, they are put onto that unit. And it is basically all through drug and alcohol treatment on that. We also have that we do for ones who are not on the gold unit. We do have a program that we do in the jails that is a drug treatment program, which it's through workbooks and stuff that they go through, and they get with the counselors to discuss each phase. I think it's like 6 weeks. It's a six week long program on that one. Now, as far as in the prisons, we have Sabista, which is I think 24 week program, and then we also have an RSATs. Now, some of the jails do have the RSATs in the jails. I think there's a couple of them that has it. There's one for a woman, and then there's one for males. If they're not full, that's an option that if someone scores out for and more intense, because the RSAT is more like a 9 to 12 month program. So if they score out to that, if there's a bed open, we can send them to that program. If not, they have to wait until they go into the prison side to get into that program. They're put on a wait list. And our wait list can be pretty extensive. So we do have programs available along there. And like I said, we go through and we do what we call the LSCMI, which determines what kind of programs they need based on their current offense, past histories, and whatnot. And it does take into a big account on the drug and alcohol spectrum of it. So, and there's a lot. There's some that I think that could use it, but they do not score out high enough to be in it. So they may be like first time offenders that have come in, but they don't really have a history, a criminal history. Doesn't mean that they don't have a history of drug or alcohol. They just will not score out to be in a program because there is no history based on their criminal offenses or something of that sort. So those are, and the first time offenders is the ones, because usually they're the youngins, I call them, as they come in. They might be 18, 19, 20s, in their early 20s. Those are ones that you could probably help the most because they are young. They may have had some juvenile history and stuff there. But they would probably be some of your best ones to probably turn their lives around, give them the chance that they need to turn around. Because once they've been incarcerated repeatedly and repeatedly for years after years, those are a lot that I find you're not going to help because they've already set in their ways. That's what the lifestyle they're used to. And they get that stubborn. I call it the stubborn syndrome. They're not going to change because they're like, I've done this long. I'm fine with it. You know, so, but the younger generation is the ones you guys really should focus on because those are the ones you're going to be able to help the most. Even when I was talking to Sabrina yesterday, even if you guys could get into the school systems and educate some of these kids and stuff there, because you'd be surprised how many of them are on drugs along there, and it comes from their family environment or whoever they hang out with, the peer pressure and stuff there. So the only way I think that we're going to be able to help a lot of people is start at the younger ages and work up along there. Let's get these ones who are in this new generation and stuff there that's dependent on drugs to make them get by. The younger kids, I find that now with COVID and they got to stay home and all that, and and do viral and stuff there, the social interaction is way off base now. They don't know how to interact. Their anxiety levels are way up there because they can't deal with being in that group setting anymore. A lot of them have a lot of problems dealing with that now. They don't have I'm gonna say, some of them have some social interaction, but some of them do not because they depended on that computer-based interaction instead of being in society and actually looking. So when they went back to school and they went back into society, it put a shock on them. So they didn't know how to deal with it. So you're going to see a lot of these younger kids now who is turning to something to help them get through it. So you're getting a lot of them that's probably on more smoking marijuana or what they call it, the vapes. The vapes seem to be a big popular thing now. So if we can get to close, if the community can get to the younger generation, it would probably be a bigger help than trying to change somebody who has spent 20 years doing the same thing in their life. That's repeat offender. It's gonna keep coming back in. They're not going to change because we gave them everything they have multiple the tools multiple times to change. They never take initiative to want to do it. They do what they have to do to get back out, and that's it. The younger generation is what's going to be where you're going to be able to help and change things. Is start there so that we can keep this from happening generations and their generations down the road.
I'm sorry, I'm Margaret with the Martinsburg Initiative, and I love what you have just said. And for those of us working in prevention, and any advocating that you can do to help us, many times the funding goes to treatment and recovery. So any funding dollars that we can get directed to prevention matters. So thank you for recognizing that.
And Margaret, that brings up a great point. But Mary, I don't know if you saw what Margaret had put in the chat, but she was saying that they do go into the schools and speak to some of the kids. I know that the Recovery Resource Center has, I want to say, JOTIP.
JOTIP.
We're going into, and this is separate with Eastridge, but we go into the juvenile detention center and just kind of do like a support, hang out, see what's going on, and we talk about prevention, and we talk about just emotions and different things to try to help there. But Margaret, can you see a need, and maybe you'll talk about this next month, so I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but is there a connection that we can have with Mary and seeing maybe what issues they're seeing in the jail and how we can use that with our programs in the school?
Oh, absolutely. And prevention, substance use prevention, but also just awareness of actions and how actions impact lives and impact your family. And especially with youth, when they're making those underage purchases or underage decisions, just helping them to understand that there are consequences for their actions, not only to the harm that they are doing to their bodies, but also, in the legal system. So prevention is just incredibly important. Yeah.
Catherine, you were saying, yeah, families, and the families that we're involved in. I know with CASA, we see it so often that these kids and the families that they're in sometimes can prevent them, or just not prevent, but make it hard. And we don't want to put, they're never going to do something, or they're never going to be something because of where they came from. It's a lot harder of a battle to kind of overcome. Not impossible, but with the support, that's the hope that we can kind of aid that process. So yes, Catherine, thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Mary? I think this is such a valuable insight to see what does it look like in the jail, and what does it look like coming out. Does anyone have any questions?
We talked about giving donations for like cold clothing, like cold weather clothing. How do those things get dropped off, or what are the most useful kinds of clothing?
Okay. Usually everything comes to me. I keep them in my office. That way nothing's paged through them or whatever along there. And the counselors or the officers will come to me and say, hey, somebody's getting released. They need clothing along there. Mainly for like winter gear would be sweats, like maybe sweatpants, sweatshirt, sometimes a jacket, depending on how cold it is. Because like I said, some of them who may have come in the summertime and getting released will not have a jacket. And we're going to throw them out in the cold with no jacket, unless they've got somebody who's going to be picking them up and they can hurry up and hop in the vehicle. But if they're not, and they're catching the bus or whatever, or they're going to be doing some walking along there, because we've actually had inmates that will just walk home along there. And I'm like, you can't walk home in shorts. You're going to freeze before you get there. And especially in like the last week or so we had, when we had those nasty cold weather where it was 6 below zero along there. That's not an ideal thing, is to release an inmate out in the middle of a cold weather in shorts. and a t-shirt with flip-flops.
How do we get those items to you?
You can bring them up to the lobby, up to the window, and tell them that you have stuff for me, and I will come out and I will get it. Or they can get it and they can put it in my office if I'm not here at the time.
Do you mind dropping your email address just in case I contact you, or the best way to contact you?
In my work email, it's Mary dot A dot Knotts, KNOTTS at wv.gov.
I have another question. We have in the past provided hygiene bags. So if we put together some of those with shampoo, underwear, toothbrush, toothpaste,
Yes,
and
I've
would it be
actually
okay to bring that to you?
I've actually had some people, some organizations who have done that. It has the hygiene products in it and stuff. Then they also put in like pamphlets and resource material. They'll put in those bags as well and stuff there. We've actually had one organization that even put Narcan. So
Actually, I think that was us.
that
So
might have
we
been
want
you
to
guys. Yes, we got
yeah,
those too. Yes,
yeah. So we'd
And-
like to continue that.
yes. And along there, and I go through quite a bit. I've had quite a few bags, and I've went through quite a bit along there. But because I let the officers know that if I'm not here, and if somebody needs one of those bags and stuff before they leave, because along there, and if they need bus tickets and stuff there, let me know, because I could set it out before I leave, or if they're getting released on the weekend and they need something, to let me know, and I'll make sure that they can get that stuff.
Actually, and Mary, I have another question, and I apologize for taking up the time.
That's
But
okay.
you have a place where visitors come and go. We have provided Narcan dispense boxes. It's kind of like an old-fashioned newspaper box. Just, we used to pull it down. Do you think that might be something that if we purchase one of those that could go in your visitors
Or like in the
section?
lobby.
Or in your lobby? Yeah.
That would be something that we would have to pass through the superintendent.
Okay.
And if he's willing to do that, I have no issues with it along there, because yeah. If we can if we can give them Narcan when they leave, that is one of the things that we can do. They even do that in intake. If they leave and stuff there, they will give them Narcan.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Margaret. I think those are great questions. Mary, just one more question on my side. How can we support you?
Okay. As far as supporting us, supporting the inmates here at the facility, the more information they have, the better. Like I said, a lot of, if you guys got pamphlets, you got material about your organization or anything that we can put on the tablets, I can post them out, put them in the pamphlet rack out in the lobby and stuff there. Anything that I can get to those inmates and to their families, of all the resources that are in the community, I think we give them a better help with that. And by all means, feel free to email me. Send me y'all's emails, what your organization is offering and what help that they can give. That would work. I can pass all that along and make sure we have those resources that the counselors can also use to contact if they need help. Because I'm not always here sometimes, because I run 2 facilities. So I may be in one building and they're in an opposite building. So any resources or anything that you can send us, like I said, emails, anything of that sort, just send to me. I'll pass it along and make sure that they have what they need to get a hold of you guys if they need help. When they need help. I'm not gonna say if, but it's when.
Thanks so much for that. Catherine was mentioning that they have the Potomac Highlands Reentry Council the first Thursday of every month at 10. We have our Reentry Council on the first Tuesday of every month. Your input and your insight is super vital to what we're doing in our efforts, and how we can partner with you to hopefully help the transition period. And I am so grateful for you and for teaching us today and for learning just a little bit about what you do. And I know that that's probably not,
It's probably not all of it, but I've been busy, and I wanted to gather some stuff up and really give you guys a really good presentation, but I've been swamped. And I'm like, okay, see if I can remember all this. But there's probably some stuff that we do that I have not even been over. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to go through everything that I wanted to. But like I said, years ago when I first started out as a counselor, which has been years ago because I've been here 19 years, we didn't have these resources in the community. And it was a major pain trying to help these offenders and getting them back into the community without them coming back through the system. When COVID and stuff there, and when all this, the community started coming in and saying, okay, we can help you guys and stuff there. I'm like, where was you 10 years ago? Because I think, like I said, I think the best way to help a lot of these inmates is going to be getting them young. Getting them young so that there's a chance there to change that mind frame. Show them that there is a better way of living in the community and stuff there without having to fall back onto the drugs or the alcohol and along there. That they can be way better productive citizens and really do a lot with their lives if they have that chance at a younger age.
I agree. So what I will do is compile all the information that was in our chat and email that to you. But thank you that there are peers in the jail, but like PRSS, and that I'm assuming that you're familiar with Beth. But she is the PRSS that's in the jail with Eastridge, so that's wonderful. There was another, I think, Catherine, you were talking about peers in jail coordinator for the Eastern region. So I will compile all the email addresses and send those to you in the event that that would be useful for you. So I'll make sure you have all the information that's in the chat and then connect you with them. And the Martinsburg Initiative. Okay, so Margaret from the Martinsburg Initiative is asking if you can share the information for the superintendent of the jail.
That would be Dynamis Tate. He is the superintendent here.
Okay.
And he used to be an officer and stuff there, so a lot of people may have known him when he was an officer and stuff there. So he's dealt with some of the people that's come in to help along there. But yeah, get with Dynamis Tate, and he could anything that you would like to implement to try to get improved to come into the facility, he would be the one to work on that.
Okay. And Catherine, I'm so sorry, I didn't see your hand up. Did you want to come on?
I just wanted to, I said, I'm the coordinator for the program that Beth is the peer for. So we work under the same grant. And Mary and the case managers, everybody at Eastern is doing everything they can. They are very helpful. They're trying to get people help. The courts are trying to let people to go to rehab and give them the second chance. Mary's right when she says it's great to catch them young, because they become institutionalized, and they don't think that it's not even stubborn, but also too hopeless. They think this is the only thing. Jail becomes a second home to them. And if you're living on the street or couch surfing from trap house to trap house, jail is appealing because you're going to get 3 hots and a cot. But it's a family approach. It's not just like, I see all these things about stigma and vaping and smoking and drugs. And I have 5 kids of my own, and 3 of them are teenagers. And that doesn't work. Like, it's a lot of it is family issues, and we aren't addressing like the core problem of kids need to stability and security. They're not getting that at home, and they're looking for it from somewhere. And when they can't, then they turn to drugs. I always say drugs is just the icing on the cake. They're looking for something to numb the pain. That's my soapbox. I'll shut up now.
No, I appreciate that. I think that's a good point, because if as a community, maybe we can come up with a way that we can create bonding within a family and healthy relationships within a family, we may be able to see some change in what's going on. So I think that brings up a wonderful point. As we're ending, I want to respect everybody's time, but that may be something that we can kind of put our heads together and see kind of what solutions. Maybe it's a community event that we put on, just like, I don't know, just something for the community that family can come and they can spend time together. I think that's a really good point, and it's something that maybe we can implement and keep going, so families can have that healthy bonding and have fun with each other. Maybe that's a support group we could start, and how to have healthy relationships. Sometimes it's hard as a single mom, and as a young mom, I didn't know how to mother my child. I had no idea. I just thankfully figured it out, but there are some folks that don't know how to do that, and because they weren't loved emotionally as a child, and so they're bringing that to their children. So there's a lot with that I think we could maybe grow on and use our resources in the community. Berkeley County, Jefferson County, Morgan County, I think that we could really come up with maybe something like that to start on those efforts. So keep thinking about that. We will meet up next month. We'll have Margaret. She's from the Martinsburg Initiative. She's going to talk about what she does, what's coming up. I'm so grateful for each of you coming and sharing, asking questions, being curious about what we can do. And thank you so much for supporting our community. If there is anything that I can do for you, we do have an email address specifically for the Eastern Panhandle Reentry Council. That is epreentry@gmail.com. Please send an email at any time. We're pretty booked for speakers until July, but if there's anybody that's interested after July, please let us know, and we'd love to chat with you and work with you. Until next month, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for joining.